am having the intense urge to talk in a British accent right now. I think it has a lot to do with my habits of watching Love Island. But I'm not gonna do it because low-key annoying. If you've never seen me before, my name is Reagan. Welcome to an Assassin's Blade reading vlog. This is the Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. If you have not been following my channel, we are rereading the Throne of Glass series because I got to Tower of Dawn, DNF'd, and I never finished the series even though I was so close. It's my goal to complete a reread in 2024 and we are on the third book. This is where reading order really comes into play. You might be watching this as your first video into it because the Assassin's Blade, some people read it as the first book. I'm reading it as the third. I read the Assassin's Blade as the first book when I read Throne of Glass for the first time, so I'm switching it up and we're moving it to third. Also, Sarah J. Maas announced that as her preferred reading order. That happened after I had started this reread. It just gratifies me a little bit. You can read Throne of Glass in whatever way you choose, but I'm just letting you know this, whatever I throw on the screen right here, is the order in which I'm reading it. This will be a spoiler-filled reading vlog. I did start this last night. Okay, I'm sitting here reading the Assassin's Blade. I'm only on page 12. We've just introduced the whole Sam, Selena plot. Going to see the Pirate Lords. It says, all that the world knew about Selena Sardothian, Otterland's assassin, was that she was female and she wanted to keep it that way. And then later on, basically like her and Sam are just fighting because she went and sat in the Pirate Lord's chair. And Sam was like, get back in your seat. I just wanted to make a note. In this book, she's 16. This page was reminding me of how much she is just like a 16-year-old girl, and not wanting to listen to authority. She wants to go to parties and wear fancy dresses, and she doesn't want anyone to know who she is because she wants that normal life. My goal tonight is to get to the end of the first story, page 77. I only got to page 26 because I was watching basketball while I was reading. My goal today is to finish the first story if I can. We only have 50 pages to go. I can definitely do that today. This is a spoiler-filled reading vlog. If you don't want to be spoiled, get out of here and come back after you've read it, and I hope you enjoy. We can get to reading. Let's do it. I'm on page 45, about halfway through the first story. This whole first story is about them going to the Pirate Kingdom and working with a trade of slaves for Erebin. We've kind of gotten to the part where they were by the water and she announced to Sam that she's not going to allow the slave trade to happen. And there's a lot of foreshadowing here. Slowly, Selena turned north toward the source of the breeze, which smelled of a faraway land she hadn't seen in 8 years. There's been multiple mentions of the number 8 and 8 years and that stuff, and that's alluding to her whole thing, which we obviously know by now. Pine and snow, alluding to maybe something else. A city still in winter's grass. She breathed it in, staring across the leagues of lonely black ocean, seeing somehow that distant city that had once long ago been her home. And then later, she knew all the constellations by heart, and she instinctively sought out the stag, lord of the north, and the immovable star that crowned his head. There's a lot of imagery of stars and constellations in Sarah J. Maas's work, but I'm definitely gonna finish this first story soon. I only have 30 more pages to go. Forgot that her and Sam started out as like an enemies thing and they weren't already dating when we went into this book. The relationship kind of does develop throughout this book a little bit. I will say in this reading order, this book feels more of a placeholder. You are going back to see a lot of Selena's past and there's a lot of allusions to her past, but it also kind of shows you why she is the way she is. Her and Sam were talking and she's like, if you're implying that Erebin somehow set been up to, I'm not implying anything, but some things don't add up and there are questions that haven't been answered. We're not supposed to question Erebin, she murmured. And since when do you ever follow orders? So like, there's a lot of allusion to Erebin's trustworthiness, his devotion to Selena, and kind of alludes to the end of this book, I think. Hey, I'm back in the same spot. I got through the first story, which is The Assassin and the Pirate Lord. So I'm definitely gonna get through the second story today. That can be done super quick. It's only to page 117, so what's that, like 50-ish pages maybe? There was a part in this story where Selena was trying to distract Rolf, the pirate lord. By successfully distracting him, she has to take off her mask and reveal her identity. So in the beginning of the book, we were talking about how she didn't want to reveal her identity because she was able to keep her girlhood, be able to go to parties and have a fun little 16-year-old experience. And I almost feel like it's a symbolism of like losing her girlhood, innocence in her childhood. Her and Sam didn't get a choice in becoming Arobyn's assassins, but this whole first story is like, well, now we get a choice. We are Arobyn's assassins. Now we can have a choice in what jobs we do. Her freeing the slaves, but also sacrificing her identity and giving up that sense of anonymity. How do you say that word? I know what word I'm thinking of. Anonymity. And what am I trying to say? She's giving up her anonymity. Anonymity? Is that how you say it? She's giving up her anonymity, being anonymous basically, for autonomy over her decisions, even if still technically Arobyn's assassin, kind of taking power over that title. The next story is called The Assassin and the Healer. Here we go. I finished story number 2, The Assassin and the Healer, and now I'm on to The Assassin and the Desert. This is, I think, one of the longest ones. I'm on page 119. We're like a fourth of the way through the book, and this is where I'm going to stop for the night. I might be reaching here, but I'm thinking that this whole story, we were kind of in this girl Irene's point of view, and she was a healer. Basically, Selena helped her on her journey to become a healer a little bit, and I think the whole point of that is it's foreshadowing to Irene coming back in some future books, but low-key I don't know. But yeah, I'm stopping for the night on The Assassin's Blade. I'm enjoying it. I think this is like obviously one of my least favorite books in the series. I know it's important, but I just don't have that emotional attachment to it as much. It's a long time later, so I'm on page 153. I really haven't made much progress at all since I last talked to you, but it's now the 21st of February. No, the 21st of March. And I underlined, Selena eventually returned to thinking about Sam. Even weeks later, she had no idea how she'd somehow gotten attached to him and what he'd been shouting when Arobyn beat her, and why Arobyn had thought he'd needed 3 seasoned assassins to restrain him that day. He's got a big fat crush. I think he's been in love with her for a long time, maybe. I don't remember actually what happens with this. I am 4 chapters into this next story, and my goal is to finish it today. 225 minus 155. What is that? 0. 15 minus 22. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 70 pages exactly, I think. Was that the correct math? I'm now on page 171. We have a very ominous quote. A reminder of what? She shut the lid and tucked the small box into the inner pocket of her white tunic. The merchant smiled sadly. That everything has a price. A phantom pain flashed across her face. I know, she said, and left. He gave her the spider silk cloth. Very depressing. Foreshadowing, question mark? It's the 22nd right now because it's midnight, but you suck, Texas Tech. How do you do that? W for Wolfpack. Note-wise on what I need to talk to you about, I got to page 199, and I have a little sticky of things I need to say. Page 175. Of all the girls in all the world, here she was on a spit of beach in the red desert, astride an Asterian horse racing faster than the wind. Most would never experience this. She would never experience anything like this again. And for that one heartbeat, when there was nothing more to it than that, she tasted bliss so complete that she tipped her head back to the sky and laughed. Oh, so cute. Basically just her being I just saw something. Basically her just being a girly. Then we have page 179, which she was talking to Ansel about the constellations. Ansel goes, what about that one? That's the stag, Selena breathed, the Lord of the North. Why does he get a fancy title? What about the swan and the dragon? Because the stag remains constant no matter the season. He's always there. Why? Selena took a long breath. So the people of Terrasen will always know how to find their way home. So they can look up at the sky no matter where they are and know that Terrasen is forever with them. And then basically Ansel goes on to say how she lied about her father sending her to the assassins. And then we also have on page on 181, Ansel was talking about her parents and how they were killed. She knew what this sort of loss was like, and words didn't do anything at all. Where do men find it in themselves to do such monstrous things? How do they find it acceptable? We'll make them pay for it in the end. We'll see to it that they pay. Yes. Ansel shifted her gaze back to the stars. Yes, we will. She remembers on page 183, she remembers the words that Sam was yelling when she was getting beaten by Arabin. It says, and suddenly as the memory of the day echoed through her, she remembered the words Sam kept screaming at Arabin as the king of the assassins beat her, the words that somehow she had forgotten in the fog of pain. I'll kill you. I'll kill anyone that touches your vibe. Then also we see like the master of the desert assassins be like really kind to her, also not beat her, and this is kind of like changing things in Selena's mind. On page 187, when she gets the privilege to train with the master, she basically has to train with like snakes, and it was like training with the natural world. I thought that was cool. Selena's doing Ansel's makeup. She said she'd never had a female friend, never really had any friends, and somehow the thought of returning to Rifthold without Ansel was a tad unbearable. Basically just like the girlhood of it. Like I feel like this moment is really significant for Selena and her character growth. I think it changes her mindset a little bit about her past. Then she had this little moment with the master's son. What would he say? That is, if he could speak. If he knew that Alderlin's assassin had never been kissed. She'd killed men, freed slaves, stolen horses, but she'd never kissed anyone. And then they obviously don't kiss, but it was a memory of Sam's face that had stopped her from kissing him. Girl. Anyways, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna try and finish this story tonight. I forgot, I'm on page 204. I forgot that Ansel, I don't know what's happening actually, but Ansel just poisoned her and dropped her in the middle of the desert to let her go, give her the master's letter of approval. I think it's a betrayal, but I don't remember, and I'm a little bit confused. Not confused, concerned, because I know it will be revealed, but like, I don't know. Bro, Ansel ratted out the assassin. She's a traitor. So Selena's first female friend is a traitor. Let's sit with that for a second. Poor Selena. I was all happy about this girl relationship. I was like, ooh. Did I think earlier in the story that it was suspicious that Ansel was visiting the Lord? Yes, I did think that was suspicious. Did I think anything of it? No. I should have. And now see, my mistake. Come on, why did she have to be a traitor? Selena needs some girl power. She needs some girl power. We got to the part, page 221, where Ansel was given a chance to like, she has 20 minutes to go or else Selena's gonna shoot her. Hear me out. We'd meet Ansel again in the future. Ansel owes Selena a favor. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know, because I haven't gone that far, but record myself finishing the last 4 pages of this little story. Selena lowered her bow and watched until Ansel disappeared beyond the horizon. One arrow, that had been her promise. But she'd also promised Ansel that she had 20 minutes to get out of range. Selena had fired after 21. The arrow missed Ansel by like literally inches. If you can learn to endure pain, you can survive anything. Some people learn to embrace it, to love it. Some endure it through drowning it in sorrow or making themselves forget. Others turn it into anger. But Ansel let her pain become hate and let it consume her until she became something else entirely. Person I don't think she ever wished to be. I think you will leave a lasting imprint on Ansel's heart. You spared her life and returned her father's sword. She will not soon forget that. And maybe when she makes her next move to reclaim her title, she will remember the assassin from the north and the kindness you showed her and try to leave fewer bodies in her wake. Oh, he was speaking? What the heck? I didn't realize he was speaking that whole time. How is it that you're speaking to me now? I thought your vow of silence was eternal. He shrugged. The world seems to think so. But as far as my memory serves me, I've never officially sworn to be silent. I chose to be silent most of the time, and I've become so used to it that I often forget I have the capacity for speech. But there are some times when words are necessary, when explanations are needed that mere gestures cannot convey. He was speaking that whole time? When you give your master his letter, also give him this, and tell him that in the Red Desert we do not abuse our disciples. Period. For the first time in a long while, she heard the song of the northern wind, calling her home, and she was not afraid. I can't wait to get to the next book. We are on the next story, The Assassin and the Underworld. I think so far that story is my favorite story. It's the longest, there's the most to connect to. Definitely the most significant, I feel, to Selena as a character so far. Hey guys, I have like 30 pages left in the next story, the second to last story, the one that we had been on. The Assassin and the Underworld, page 232. Oh, Arabin, he said he's sorry for everything that he did to Selena and like beating her and everything, and he bought her a brooch, but basically he's being really apologetic. It's like the cycle of abuse that we can see. I also read today that Arabin Hamel, the name, Arabin means strong fireheart or something, and then Hamel means like scared or like refuge or something like that. That's a deeper meaning that we don't even need to unpack right now, but he bought it because he knew her wardrobe, her taste, everything about her. Of all the people in the world, only Arabin knew the absolute truth, and it's making me so mad because he's just like perpetuating the cycle of abuse, and it's like Selena, and she was gonna buy her freedom, but she's not doing it. It's like an abusive relationship that you can't leave. On page 234, she says she could no longer sort out her feelings toward the king of the assassins. Then she could count the stars in the sky. This whole first section was just like abuse and emotional abuse, as well as like obviously he physically abused her, but also he offers her a job with the slave, which I can't tell if he was genuine about that or not, honestly. I don't think he flipped like that. Like, I don't think he did. Arabin was all she had, and that's how they keep you. That is how they keep you. That is abuse. That is abuse, girl. Then we have this whole section with Sam. We're getting jealous. So like Sam and Lysandra, Arabin has like forced Sam to work with Lysandra kind of, and Lysandra's like the courtesan. She's about to do her bid day. Lysandra is like flirting with Sam to get to Selena, and it's working because she is so jealous. She gets back from this mission and she's like, I'm disgusting, and she has her little pamper day, which I thought was adorable. She goes to the nail salon, she gets her hair done. There's all these moments of like, wow, that's disgusting, or like, wow, I would never want to live in this world. There's these terrible things that happen to Selena. She has to do terrible things, and then she like does a self-care day. And I love that, like, not to use the word dichotomy and be that English, but it eats. She just went and trained and killed people in the Red Desert for like a month, and then she comes back and she does a spa day. Sam and Selena are having their little argument, and he goes, you want to know what price I asked for forgiving Arabin, Selena? My price was his oath that he'd never lay a hand on you again. I told him I'd forgive him in exchange for that. Basically, Sam and Selena just like fight for a long time. And then, you know what else? The dichotomy is her love for music. Like, she goes and kills people, and then she cries about music. And then she gets stuck in the sewer, and then she says to Sam, take my body home to Terrace and Sam. That was sad. And then the last thing, they're like still gonna do the little mission together for Duval. He was like, my list of people to kill is now one longer because of the person who put her in the sewer. I'm gonna keep reading and keep you updated. I'm on page 400. I have 30 pages left to go in this book, and we're about to read them together, but I haven't talked to you in a while, so I have my sticky of things I need to talk to you about. I finished the second to last story. When I read this when I was younger, I didn't realize the cycle of abuse that Arabin has Selena in. She gets free of him, but she can't get free of him in her mind, and he keeps coming back to like haunt her in a way, and I didn't recognize that as abuse. I was just like, oh, he's just like a messed up father figure. No, he's not. He's an abusive a-hole. We have a love confession on page 310. You said you didn't care what I thought, or what I did, or if I died, if I'm not mistaken. I lied, and you know I lied, you stupid bastard. If I have to live with Arabin, I'll snap his damned neck. But why? Why can't you let it go? Because I love you. Selena put spider silk in Sam's suit and it saved his life right over his heart. Because when she put the spider silk in, we all thought it was going to be in her suit, but no. It was in Sam's, which I thought that was adorable. And lastly, in that story, Arabin tricked her about Donovan, the little job she was working. Obviously, I knew that, but it wasn't to hurt the slave trade. It actually helped the slave trade. What a bitch on my sticky note about Arabin. Because, am I right? Or am I right? Then we get into the last story, which is called The Assassin and the Empire. And on page 338, it was the after chapter, so showing her in the wagon going to Indovir. The freckles of light along the panels dance like falling snow, like ash from a world burned to nothing, lying in ruins around her. She could taste the ash of that dead world on her chapped lips, settling on her laden tongue. Kingdom of Ash, question mark? Do we have a little correlation there? We have like a happy relationship kind of situation. Sam is fighting at the vault, but they're like ultimately together. This is when they got the job trying to kill Jane and Theron. They don't want to be messing with the guild because the guild's the one who's like orchestrating this. Then on page 362, I underlined a sad little quote. He kissed her thoroughly, lazily, as if he had a lifetime of kisses to look forward to. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. And spending all the time in the world with Sam, that was a treasure worth paying for. Hyping us up for what? Then Arabin broke into her apartment, which is disgusting. Arabin told her he loved her, and again, cycle of abuse. He'd had so many chances over the years to tell her that he loved her. He'd known how much she craved those words, but he hadn't spoken them until he needed to use them as weapons. And now that she had Sam who said those words without expecting anything in return, Sam who loved her for reasons she could never understand. Get out of my house. We get to the part where she asked Sam about his deepest secret, and he was like, the only secret I've borne my entire life is that I love you. He gave her a slight smile. It was the one thing that I believed I'd go to the grave without voicing. He asked her about her secret and she said she was a coward. I get scared too, he murmured onto her skin. You want to hear something ridiculous? Whenever I'm scared out of my wits, I tell myself, my name is Sam Cortland and I will not be afraid. I've been doing it for years. That's where I'm Selena Sardathian and I will not be afraid. That's where the first book starts, I'm pretty sure, like the first few words or something like that. Arabin found Sam and was like telling him like, oh, do you know her secret? Do you know her secret? And Sam was like, Selena, when you're good and ready to tell me the truth, you'll do it. And no matter what it is, when that day comes, I'll be honored that you trust me enough to do so. But until then, it's not my business and it's not Arabin's business. It's not anyone's business but your own. Sam doesn't come home, Avi. Then on page 399, we find out he's dead. Avi. I didn't feel my reaction to that because I knew it was gonna happen, so it wasn't like a big reaction. It was like, oh yeah, she wouldn't leave him. She laid with his body, which cute, but also kind of yucky. We have 30 more pages left and we're gonna read them together. So let's get to it. She hated the world for continuing on. Okay. Okay. I forgot about this. Okay, so she sees Wesley when she's trying to sneak out of the house that Arabin locked her in. You don't understand, he pleaded. His eyes gleamed in the dark. It's all just and then she knocks him out. She runs and jumps through the window at Jane and Farron's house. It's a meeting full of people with guards and stuff. It was a trap. I knew that, but I forgot how it happened, and that is epic. I forgot how that happened. The stag, she screams at it to run, and I quote, run, damn you. The stag turned and sprinted, a bolt of white light weaving through the trees. The twang of bow strings, the hiss of arrows, all missing their mark. Dare I say, representation that Selena Sardathian has not been defeated. We have the last 2 pages here. Let's read them together. She knew that breeze. She knew the chill bite beneath it, knew it carried the hint of pine and snow, knew the mountains from which it hailed, a northern breeze, a breeze of terracin. She must stand or be broken before she even entered Indovir. My name is Selena Sardathian. I will not be afraid. She would go into Indovir, go to hell, and she would not crumble. She would tuck Sam into her heart, a bright light for her to take out whenever things were darkest. And then she would remember how it had felt to be loved, when the world had held nothing but possibility. My name is Selena Sardathian, she whispered, and I will not be afraid. Selena Sardathian lifted her chin and walked into the salt mines of Indovir. And that was the last page. Let's go over it. Let's talk about it. What do I think my rating is going to be for this book? I'm in between a 3 and a 4, if I'm being honest. I see the importance. I do. I enjoyed the last story and even the second to last story, but the first, 3 stories were a little bit difficult to get through, not gonna lie. I do see the point of reading this third, and I think I would recommend that. I think it was just harder because it was a reread. If I was rereading the series again, I probably would have skipped this book altogether, if I'm being honest, because I know what is important out of it. I haven't read the entire series yet, so I might not feel the same way once I finish the series. I do think this is a valuable book. End of story. If you have never read the series before, this is definitely a valuable book, and you might have a different reaction than me. It just wasn't my favorite in this reread. I might just keep it at the rating I had it in the past. I did not remember, however, that we found out that Arabin was the one who betrayed her at the end of this book. I also didn't remember where she got "I'm Selena Sardathian and I will not be afraid." Now I do. Now I will never forget that. Thank you so much for watching. Go follow any of my other socials down below. Subscribe, like, comment. I think that's everything. I love you all so very much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.